One commands justice, the other swings a cursed blade. In a verse ruled by admirals, can a swordsman truly stand among them? Today we're diving into a question that's been echoing across the Grand Line. How strong is Roronoa Zoro compared to any admiral, and can he beat one? So starting off, Zoro is one of the only characters in the verse who has mastery over all three types of haki, including ornament, observation, and conquerors, with his conquerors giving him a significant advantage over any admirals. Having conquerors haki gave him the ability to scar Emperor Kaido, who had one of the best durabilities in the entire verse. Zoro's next big feat was defeating King, who was a Yonko commander for Kaido and had a bounty of around 1.4 billion berries. Mind you, King could fly and he was easily faster and stronger than Doflamingo, and it took Gear 4 Luffy in order to beat Doflamingo. King also had a very high attacking power and he was outpowering Zoro until Zoro unlocked Conquerors. After getting Conquerors, Zoro could definitely mid-diff King and scale slightly below Marco, as Marco held his own against both King and Queen together. Not to mention that Pineapple Marco was able to hold his own against my King Kizaru for a while. I do agree that Kizaru was definitely a lot stronger and he was not trying, since Kizaru was on par with Gear 5 Luffy and was likely even stronger than old Rayleigh, as he was not trying against Rayleigh and overpowering him. We did see a flashback of Prime Rayleigh no diffing a weaker version of Marco when Roger and Whitebeard fought. In the entire Marineford arc, the Admirals and the Warlords were not even going all out. Currently, if Zoro fought Marco, as of right now, I'd still give the edge to Marco since he has better durability, speed, and healing factor. He definitely has better speed since he was able to keep up with a light speed attack from Kizaru. Even if we say that Zoro beats Katakuri, King, Queen, and Marco, he's still nowhere close to a Yonko or Admiral-level character. To back it up, Gear 4 Luffy and even base Luffy was able to knock down Kaido multiple times, and the strongest version of Gear 4 Luffy got no diff by Kizaru when he accelerated a little faster than light, and the biggest thing Zoro did to Kaido was landing a scar on him. This just goes on to show the difference between Gear 4 Luffy and Zoro. We can certainly agree that Zoro cannot beat King and Queen together, and even a fraud like Greenbull was able to no diff King and Queen. I get that they were exhausted and sick, but he called them mere pirate subordinates, which indicates that he wouldn't have struggled against them as much as Zoro or even Marco. So now I'm going to be putting Zoro against each admiral and see how well he does. So we're starting off by the weakest admiral, who's Greenbull. Greenbull has a Mori Mori no Mi, which gives him the ability to turn into a forest and drain the nutrients out of his opponents. We did see him drain the force out of King and Queen. Greenbull also fought almost every member of the Akaza 9 and was doing very well against them. As for the people saying Yamato could have no-diff Greenbull, Greenbull was only annoyed by Yamato's hits. Yamato also hurt Kaido multiple times with those hits, so they're not weak. Greenbull did state that he wouldn't have come to Wano if Kaido was there, meaning Kaido was a lot stronger than Greenbull. Greenbull also got no diff by Shank's Bluetooth Conqueror's haki, so he's nowhere close to Yonko level. Zoro can definitely cut down a couple branches with Enma and Conquerors, but Greenbull can keep regenerating, and eventually Zoro's gonna gas out and get hit by one of those attacks that can drain nutrients. Not to mention that he can create an entire forest and everything would be in his advantage. Greenbull also pretty much no diff Rewill, who is a warlord and probably scales around Doflamingo. This matchup I got Greenbull mid diff. The last thing I need to mention is that Greenbull was the one who got Fujitora injured. He may be a fraud compared to the OG Admirals, but we definitely haven't seen him go all out. So Zoro's next matchup is going to be against Fujitora. I think this fight's going to be a lot more interesting because both Zoro and Fujitora are primarily swordsmen. Zoro has advantage in terms of Conqueror's haki, but Fujitora has way better observation haki since he can locate meteors and relies on it since he's blind. Another advantage Fujitora has over Zoro is the Zushi no Mi, which gives him the ability to control gravity itself. The main problem with fighting Fujitora is that he can use gravity to his advantage, like throwing huge rocks at Zoro while they're clashing with swords. Not to mention that he can summon huge meteors and also push Zoro to the ground. Fujitora also wields the Yakuza Chasm and has the capability to clash swords with Zoro without getting overpowered. As for the people who don't know, the Yakuza Chasm is one of the 12 Supreme Grade swords, which are one of the strongest in the entire One Piece verse. Despite Zoro being able to break meteors and clash with Fujitora, I still give Fujitora the advantage with mid-diff. And now we're moving on to the next matchup, which is against our King Kizaru, and this matchup not even close. The reason for this is that even Gear 5 Luffy could not defeat Kizaru. Both Luffy and Kizaru were relative to each other in terms of speed, and Kizaru was in better condition after the fight with Gear 5 Luffy. The reason for this is that Oda said in the SBS that Kizaru brought food to Luffy after Luffy got tired. And Kizaru goes on to blitz the entire verse without anyone noticing, and he brings food to Luffy. He had enough energy to end Luffy anytime he wanted. My King Kizaru also has way better destructive capability, as he can destroy buildings 3 times scale with no effort, and he soloed the entire supernova. He's also the worst matchup for Zoro since he can fly and dodge every single one of Zoro's attack. Zoro so far has nothing except Conqueror's haki, which would probably stop 1 or 2 attacks of Kizaru before he's done. Now let's move on to the next matchup, which is going to be against Aokiji or Kuzan. Kuzan went up against Akainu for 10 days straight despite having an elemental disadvantage. He also one-shotted Cracker, which took a lot of time for Gear 4 Luffy to win. Aokiji can also freeze oceans and keep up with Garp, who has way better haki and attacking power than Zoro. Old Garp almost destroyed an entire island and was on par with Roger in his prime, and Aokiji still held his own. Garp at an old age almost destroyed an entire island with galaxy impact. I do think old Garp was stronger, but they were very relative. In my opinion, Aokiji has every advantage over Zoro except for Conquerors, but we know that Aokiji, despite not having Conquerors, can still keep up with people with Conquerors. The advantages are that he can freeze Zoro's swords, terraform the entire island to his advantage, and create ice barriers. He also has a way better stamina compared with everyone in the verse. At last, we got our King Sakazuki, or Akainu. Zoro will never be able to defeat Akainu unless he surpasses Mihawk, which he isn't even close to surpassing. Akainu defeated an old Whitebeard, and Whitebeard at that age tilted an entire ocean and had the capability to destroy the entire planet. Akainu also beat Aokiji, who was very relative to old Garp, and Akainu would likely beat an old Garp at least post time skip when Garp got weaker and Akainu got stronger. Akainu also has a devil fruit with the highest attacking power. It's even more than Whitebeard, Kaido, and Luffy, so there's nothing Zoro can do to Akainu. The biggest feat Zoro has so far is scarring Kaido, clashing with a Yonko commander, and clashing with Najuro, a Gorosei. Being realistic, he would have lost to Najuro at that time. So yeah, as you can see right now, every single Admiral would stomp Zoro as of right now. He's definitely getting close to beating Greenbull and maybe Fujitora in the future, but unless he gets a big power up, he's losing to every Admiral as of right now, and the OG Admirals are too hard for Zoro to beat. Roronoa Zoro definitely has plot armor and Conquerors by his side, which means he will surpass them all, but right now it's not even close.